Hello students, today we will discuss the job scheduling problem that can be solved using the greedy approach. What is job scheduling problem? Suppose we have n jobs. Now each of which is taking unit time. So you can understand this using one analogy where you have been given the task of stitching a fancy bag. Now one customer is coming and he is saying that he wants bag, right? But he wants that bag in 1 day only. Now what is the unit time? So you have to assume that for the stitching of the bag you require 1 day. Okay, now one customer is coming and he is saying that he wants the bag in 1 day and he is going to pay 150 rupees for that bag. So 150 rupees he is giving to you for stitching that bag for him. Now another customer is coming, right, and he is saying that he also wants bag, but the thing is he can wait for 3 days for the bag and he is going to pay you 50 rupees for the bag. Okay, now third customer is coming and he is saying that he wants the bag, right, but he can wait up to 2 days and he is going to give you 100 rupees for that. Okay, now fourth customer is coming and he is saying that he wants bag, right, but he wants that bag in only 1 day and he is ready to pay you 200 rupees for that. Okay, so you have total 4 jobs and you have been given the deadlines that by which day the customer is willing to get the bag, and also the profit or the value that customer is ready to pay for that bag is also given. So now you have to schedule your available jobs such that you can get the maximum profit out of it. So by looking at the deadlines, you can see that maximum time available to you is 3. Means you can give 3 days to perform the jobs, right? So first thing, you can schedule the job such that you can maximum profit. So you can pick up the job which gives you the maximum value. So you can pick the job 4 first and get the 200 profit. Same way, you can try to execute this job 1, but you can see that its deadline has been passed. Now customer is not ready to accept the bag, so this job cannot be executed. Okay, so this is the job scheduling problem. Okay, then a processor on which we would like to schedule them in as profitable manner as possible. We have to schedule the job on a processor such that we can get the maximum profit. Okay, now each job has a profit associated with it as well as the deadline. Now, if the job is not scheduled by the deadline, then we don't get the profit. Or if the penalties are also associated with the job, then we have to pay the penalty if we are running the job after its deadline. Okay, so because each job takes the same amount of time, we will think of a schedule S, which is consisting of a sequence of job slots 1, 2, 3, where ST will denote the job schedule in slot T. Okay, now there are two approaches for this job scheduling problem. If the profit is associated with the jobs, then our goal is to schedule jobs to maximize the profit. Or if the penalties are associated with the jobs, then our goal is to minimize the penalty that we have to pay by scheduling the jobs after the deadline. Okay, now we'll understand this concept using one simple example. Here we have been given 4 jobs with the deadlines and profit. So the first step is we have to arrange the jobs in the decreasing order by profit. So highest profit job comes first. After that, by looking at the deadline, we can see that we have total 3 time units available to execute these 4 jobs because the maximum deadline of job is 3. So here we have to create one time slot where time slots are available is 1, 2 and 3. Okay, now we have to schedule this job such that we can get the maximum profit. So as you can see that the job 1 is giving you the maximum profit and its deadline is 3. So now this particular job can be executed in the last time slot. So what we will do, we will check that particular slot 2 to 3. that slot is free, so we can schedule this job 1 to that particular slot. So A1 is scheduled here. Now the next profit job is the uh, job number 2, where the profit is 7 and deadline is 2. So we have to check whether 1 2 slot is available for the scheduling that job or not. So that particular slot is free, so we can schedule that job in that particular slot. Okay. Now for the third job, the deadline is 3 and the profit is 7. So for scheduling that job, we can check whether 2 3 is available. So that time slot is already taken by job 1. So it is not available. Now we will check the previous slot 1 2. That is also not available. But yes, 0 1 slot is available to schedule the job 3. So we can schedule job A3 at that time slot. Now we will check for the fourth job. Now its deadline is 1, and in that time slot already job is there and no other free slot is available. So job 4 cannot be executed as its deadline has been passed. Okay, so the total profit by scheduling this job in this way is 9 plus 7 plus 7, which is 23 for this example. So we have been given the jobs, we have been given the deadlines, we have been given the profits. Now it is the task to find out or to schedule the job such that we can get the maximum profit. Now there are two examples that you can solve for your practice. Now, if the penalties are associated with the jobs, then we have to schedule the jobs such that we can minimize the penalties. So here, a set S is given with the n unit time task, even A to up to an. Now we also have been given the deadlines, which are integers d1, d2, dn, such that each di is satisfied 1 is less than di is less than equal to n. Now, task AI is supposed to be finished by time DI, means it should be completed before its deadline. Now, with every jobs, there are non-negative weights or penalty W1, W2, Wn such that we incur a penalty if the task AI is not finished by the time DI, and we incur no penalty if a task finishes by its deadline. Okay, so if we are executing any job after its deadline, then we have to pay the penalties, right? So here for the jobs, deadlines are given as well as penalties are given for the jobs. Now we will understand this with one example. Here, total 7 jobs are given with the deadlines and penalties. Here, what does it mean by this particular cell? So, if I'm executing this job 3 after deadline 4, then I have to pay 50 penalty. So here I have to schedule the job such that it would result in minimum penalty. Okay, so scheduling is for the goal of minimizing the penalty. Okay, so now we will solve this problem. So first we have to sort the jobs in decreasing order by penalty. So what we will think, that if I'm executing the job with the maximum penalty first, at the end it might be possible that total penalty would be minimized. Okay, so that's why we will execute the maximum penalties job first. Okay, now we have to create time slots first. So here there are 6 time slots by looking at the maximum deadline. Okay, now we will take the first job. So the first job's deadline is 4 and the penalty is 70. So we will schedule this first job, but in at which time slot? So we have to check the time slot 3 to 4. 3 to 4, so that is free, so that's why we will schedule this job 1 to that particular slot. Okay, now we will check the second job. The second job's deadline is 2, so we will check the time slot 1 2. It is free, so we can schedule that job in that time slot. Now for the third job, the deadline is 4. Now we have to check this 3 4 time slot, but it is already occupied, so we will check the previous slot 2 3. So that is free, so we can schedule that A3 job in that time slot. Now for the fourth job, the deadline is 3, so we have to check 2 3 slot which is already occupied, 1 2 slot which is already occupied. So now the fourth job will be scheduled at the very first slot, A01. So A4 is scheduled at that time slot. Okay, now we will check the fifth job. Now the deadline of the fifth job is 1. So 01 time slot is already occupied, so it cannot be executed, because also we can see that the deadline of the job 5 has already been passed. Okay, now the sixth job, the deadline is 4, so we will check the 3-4 time slot which is already occupied, so this particular job cannot be executed. Now we will check the seventh job. The deadline is 6. So now we will check 5, 6 time slot. It is free, so we can schedule that job in that particular time slot. So from this example, you can see that job A1, A2, A3, A4 and A7, these particular jobs have been scheduled, but job 5 and 6 cannot be scheduled because its deadline has been passed. Okay, so what we can do for that? What do you mean by that? So if these jobs are not executed, or if these jobs are executed after the deadline, we have to pay the penalty. So job A5 and A6 cannot be executed because its deadline passed, so we have to pay total 30 plus 20, 50 penalty by scheduling the jobs in this way, so which can be minimum. Now next is the algorithm that we have to understand for implementation purpose of this job scheduling problem. So first is, we have to sort this PI. This PI can be either penalty or profit into non-increasing order. So after sorting, P1 is greater than equal to P2, like this. So the maximum profit job or the maximum penalty job would be first. Now in this step 2, we have to add this job I to the solution set if I can be completed by its deadline. Then and only then it can be added to the solution set. Okay, now where to assign this I? So for assigning this I, we have to check R minus 1 by R minus 1 R time slot, where R is the largest integer such that 1 is less than equal to R, less than equal to the deadline of that job I. So if the deadline of the job is 4, we have to check the 3-4 slot of the for the job scheduling problem. And if it is free, we can schedule that job in that particular slot. Okay. Now in the step 3, we have to stop if all the jobs are checked. Otherwise, we have to repeat this step 2 for the next job.